I'm running to be the new Member of Parliament for what I promise, if I'm elected, will be a Rochdale Revival. That's the phrase. That Rochdale needs revived is, I think, a consensus across the whole community, all parts of the community. Rochdale was once something to behold. It was a place of note, a proud English town with a market, with a football team in the proper divisions, with famous people associated with it, and people proud to say that they were born here. And we now have a situation where nobody can be born here. And that's a pretty significant phrase, you know. Let me say it again. Nobody can be born in Rochdale, unless in a taxi on the way to Oldham. When a town is a town that you can't be born in, and in this case, because they've taken the A&E also, you cannot die in. If you cannot be born and you cannot die in a town, to what extent is it any longer a town? And when you lose a market that was once the heart of the community, and now when I see one of my friends here with whom I'm working on this, when you factor in that we may lose the football team, Rochdale, without a football team, without a market, without an A&E, without a maternity unit, that is a very, very grievous set of blows. You might as well say that this then is a town with no heart, and yet the people are full of heart. The people want to be proud of Rochdale. They remember, and their parents remember, when Rochdale was a proud place. And I'm determined, therefore, that what will kick-start here on Thursday, in the event of our victory, will be a Rochdale revival. In 1844, the pioneers started what became the worldwide cooperative movement in this town, in Toad Lane. Again, you know, that's not a small thing. I've been in cooperative institutions, whether shops or otherwise, all over the world. I've been in a co-op in the favelas in Brazil. I've been in a co-op in the townships in South Africa. I've been in co-ops everywhere, all over the world, and it started here, right here. That's not a small thing. By definition, only Rochdale can say that. And therefore, I hope that on Thursday we'll be pioneers again, and we will return the very first Workers' Party Member of Parliament in history. That would be a pioneer spirit that would be worthy of the original pioneers in 1844. I'll not be here for the bicentenary unless I'm extremely lucky, but I hope that my children will be able to celebrate in 2044 the bicentenary of one of the greatest innovations, revivals that ever occurred anywhere, and it took place here in Rochdale. I'm working, I said, with one of my friends in the room on trying to save the football team. I don't want to go in here to who's to blame for what. I don't want to ascribe responsibility for the parlous situation that the club now faces. But be sure, if something does not happen very quickly indeed, the football team will go into liquidation. And once you're in liquidation, there's no way back except at the very, very bottom of the many tiers of the National League. Imagine, I tweeted in 2018, long before I knew I'd be standing here in front of you, I'll tell you the exact tweet. I've been all around the world, and I've never seen an FA Cup giant killing effort like that being put in by Rochdale this evening. It was against Tottenham Hotspur. They were very unlucky not to win the leg here, and of course the rest is not history. But that night I was sitting watching Rochdale in an FA Cup giant killing exploit against the mighty Tottenham Hotspur. And now we might be about to not just fall out of the league, but fall out of the National League, fall out of existence altogether. So we are talking with various people from the great days back in 2018 about what we can do to save the club. All I'm really able to say, because of commercial and other sensitivities, is that I'm here to ask Rochdale Council to do whatever is necessary to save the club from liquidation. And I promise, if they do, that we will put together the widest possible group of people, led by the men from the great days, to save the club and restore it to its former glory. Another version of my Rochdale Revival slogan that I mentioned. I know that the council doesn't have to do it. It's not their fault, but they did own the ground before, and they could own it again, albeit briefly, and it will be bought back from them, hopefully without interest, without profit, but it will be bought back from them, and nothing will have been lost. And they have reserves that they could use for that purpose. And for those who say, well, you know, it's a commercial enterprise and so on, it's the town's club. And if it goes bust, the club and the town are perhaps irretrievably weakened. And so I'm hoping, I don't know if there are any council officials in the room, that the council would do that, and it will be one of my major priorities if I'm elected on Thursday as the Member of Parliament. Who am I? Someone said to me outside, you're a Scotsman. Well, so was Alex Ferguson. Pep Guardiola is not from Manchester. It's perfectly normal to hire people of note from outside. You can look on me as I come to the end of my career like Ronaldo offering to play for Rochdale for a 5-year contract for no money from you at all. That's what I'm offering. I'm a well-known person. That's why 36 television companies will be at the count on Thursday night. There wouldn't have been 3 or even 1 if I wasn't standing in this election. Al Jazeera are coming all the way from Qatar to film the count. We've put Rochdale on the map, and not in a bad way, for a change. Rochdale has been the victim of so many dark clouds, many of them self-inflicted, but not all of them. So many dark clouds that our attitude is the only way is up. We, by attracting attention and investment and business to this town, can only lift it, can only revive it. And we have a saying in Glasgow that it's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. If the wheel wasn't squeaking, why would you oil it? And we intend to make a lot more noise than a squeak from here on Thursday and in the days that follow. By which I mean, if we win this seat, the 2 main parties will be running after the people of Rochdale until the general election to try and get it back. And the only way to get it back is to throw good things at the town, to say yes to things they were saying no to before. If you think about it, that's a matter of simple logic. The two main parties will be competing for government in just about 200 days from now. In fact, cannot be more than 200 days. And they'll all be on their toes trying to get the seat back. So there's no loss for you at all in lending me your vote just once to send the message to the national government, the national political parties, that you're not happy with how things are. And how could you be happy? What kind of people would you be if you were happy at the way things have gone in Rochdale? It's been all downhill for Rochdale for quite a long time. But we have a two-pronged plan to ensure the revival in Rochdale. If we win on Thursday, in fact, whether we win on Thursday or not, we intend, sorry if there are any councillors or council officials in the room, we intend to change this town council, because we believe that many of the problems here in Rochdale are entirely associated with its misgovernance from here. I mean no disrespect to the council officials, I'm talking about the politicians. The politicians that run Rochdale Council are substandard. I'm not going to go further than that, but they're substandard and they need replacing. And we have the young men and women that are required to replace them. And we will be standing to win power in the Rochdale Council after Thursday. It's only 12 weeks from our by-election to the council elections. Of course, not every seat is up for re-election, only 1/3 of them. They didn't fancy, they used to have an all-in, all-out election, but they decided they didn't fancy that any longer, too risky. Well, that means it will take us maybe 2 elections to be the majority group here in Rochdale Council, but we will do it, and we'll make a big start on it 12 weeks from Thursday by replacing the worst of the rotten apples. And they're rotten. And everybody knows it from all the different communities. They know that in this building, in the town hall, is where the head of the snake lies. And we intend to make big changes. And so people ask me, will you have a rest after the election? The answer is no, for 2 reasons. One, because the council elections come quickly afterwards, and 2, because the general election will come quickly afterwards. Now, when I said I would like you to lend me your vote, you can go back, if you must, at the general election, if you're a real Tory or a real Labour or a real Liberal supporter, if any of those still exist. You can, of course, go back to them if you must, but I'll be running. I'll be standing in the general election. If I win the by-election, I'll be standing again 200 days later to defend this seat. And I hope, of course, that people will give me their vote to finish the job. But I'll start the job. And the very election on Thursday will kickstart a movement. If Donald Trump was here, he'd call it Make Rochdale Great Again. What's wrong with that, by the way? I've never understood why people laugh at that slogan. Let's make Rochdale great again. We can do it. It was great once, it ain't great now. Let's make it great again. Thanks for your attention. I'm happy to take any questions at all from the audience. Thank you, Chair.